Hello, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery, where we're helping you take your practice to the $1 million mark and beyond. I'm going to do a quick little update about the American Society of Shockwave here. This is the second year I've gone to this meeting. It's a very good meeting. I'm going to kind of talk about the good, the bad, and kind of some takeaways that I had from the meeting. Well, first of all, it was good because there were quite a few colleagues and friends that I knew. If you start to go to these, either this one or the chiropractic one, you start to learn more and more and meet other people. They tend to be a lot of the similar people that go, and it's very interdisciplinary, meaning there's a lot of other specialties there. There were some podiatrists, there's some PM&R docs, there are some physical therapists, there's some chiropractors. Those were kind of the main ones that I saw there. Sports medicine doctors and things like that. I did not see that many orthos. I was kind of surprised. I thought there would have been more orthos in that area, but there was not. I saw quite a few friends, and it was nice to catch up and learn how different protocols are going amongst different people. I feel happy about my pricing for Shockwave. And a couple of other things that I've learned. I feel like one of the biggest challenges for Shockwave is explaining it to patients. This is what I kind of took as the takeaway, meaning explaining the need for it, the benefits for it, and then more importantly, the money talk, which is one of the more challenging things of how do you have your patients then pay for it. Those are kind of the good things. Kind of some of the bad things is there were some topics because it was for all all over the body. Some of the stuff like the urological things and some of the stuff on Alzheimer's, I thought it was interesting, but it wasn't all that beneficial. Another kind of drawback, it took up a weekend, so it was half day Friday, Saturday, and then a half day Sunday. So, and there's no CME. So those are kind of the bad things. The good thing, it wasn't one Shockwave specific, like it wasn't focused just on Storts or just on Softwave or just on any of these other ones. So you get a feel for other types of machines. So my main takeaway is I'm still glad I have two different non-radial machines. So as you know, or maybe you don't, I have two radial machines, and then I have two non-radial. That's what I call them. So non-radial meaning I have one focused Storts device, and I have one Softwave, which is a broad focused, I guess that's what they're calling it now. And I guess the shocking news, which I think a lot of us knew, is that Radial isn't going to be considered Shockwave anymore. Radial is kind of like pressure waves, they're going to call them, and not really sincere, truthful shockwaves. So some of my main takeaways, I guess the number one takeaway is that, and I was talking to one of the lecturers from Germany on this. He said, the longer you come to these conferences and the longer that you do Shockwave, the lighter you go. And both lighter in terms of hertz and both lighter in terms of intensity. So this is, I think, really true for me. In the beginning, I really started and had some patients almost pass out. It hurt so bad. And now I kind of use the red, yellow, green, like I want you to be in the yellow. But as I'm watching a lot of these others lecture, they are really, really low, both on the radial, like 2.0 or 1.5, and then for the focused, point, 0.2 or 0.1, or even lower than that. So they start really, really low. They're going a little bit slower in terms of hertz wise, and then they just kind of don't really move their hand at all when they're using a non-radial device. So this is kind of a takeaway. I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to even go lighter on patients and just see if I don't see the great improvement, then I may add a couple of other ones on the end. But I'm going to start going a lot lighter and see if I get the same results. Some of the other takeaways were on a talk that Paul Hobro gave. I did some coaching with Paul a while back, and he has it's a Shockwave hub on LinkedIn. So if you're interested in learning more, I think Shockwave hub would be a good place to go. I know the Chiropractic has a page that's called a school community. It's a community they have. So there's a lot of different places to learn. They also talked about a couple of new learning, like AI, not AI, but like virtual reality, like learning. But I think really ultimately the best thing is to go visit another doctor that's doing it. And that's what I enjoy. So if you want to come visit me, let me know. There's one of the doctors that went to the meeting. He's going to be spending the Monday after with me just to kind of learn about Shockwave and learn about other types of things like that. I kind of came down to realize I think the best fit now for my practice is more of sports medicine in terms of the conferences I want to go to, because a lot of the surgical ones aren't the most beneficial for me, and a lot of the local are like ACFAS ones. And so I was just re-emphasized the importance of going to like the sports medicine conferences. And I was kind of not embarrassed, but I did talk to another doctor that's charging much more than me, and I wanted to learn how he did that. So there's a doctor I was talking to, another podiatrist. He charges 400 a session, and he does radial focused and then EMTT. So I'm undetermined if I want to buy an EMTT. I feel like EMTT is better for like arthritic things, which is a lot of what we do, but I just can't condone buying two EMTT devices. So I'm considering it a little bit, but what he does is he does all three, and his package is 400 per session, which is 2,400 for the 6 sessions. So I was like, wow, that I do 1,500, he does 2,400, and he's probably getting acceptance with that. So I've thought about, instead of this is just another thought I always like to share what I'm thinking of. Instead of charging 250 a session, I could charge like 400 a session, but including orthotics and then including amnio. So to kind of get to the same amount, but including those things in there. So I'll say, okay, it's so much a session, and in this session or in this package, for whatever $3,000, everything is included. Your orthotics are included, your amnio is included, and your shockwave is included. And I think that might be an easier way of kind of explaining it. If they wanted the amount per price would be that much, or just the package. So that this is what I'm going to be working on trying. There was an interesting lecture on platelet lysate, which is basically breaking up platelet-rich plasma with kind of an intense process of heating and cooling. I do not do platelet PRP with mine, but that was kind of an interesting idea. There was another interesting idea of a doctor that mentioned, well, insurance is starting to cover shockwave, and I've had that, I think I've mentioned like once, where I paid 140, but some people are only getting paid like 65 for shockwave. And what they said, and I'm not sure how this is going to work billing-wise, but they said really $65 is not acceptable for shockwave, and we will not be billing your insurance. Now, I don't know if I have the authority to do that with all types of insurances, but I like that verbiage, and I think it might be something that I could use. Another idea that a patient or one of the lecturers mentioned is something called mymedicalimages.com, and it's a place where patients can upload medical images for free, and then you can give them your opinion on those. I think sometimes we struggle with images, but like they might have CDs and they can upload things like that. I don't exactly know how it works, but my thought was, let's say you wanted to do a kind of as a marketing thing, you want to do a second opinion, so they can pull up their MRI, if they had an MRI on their heel, for example, and you want them to put it in there, and then you would give them a call and kind of give them a second opinion based on that MRI. I thought that was something that would be a neat way to do that. And then finally, I guess where I think the future is going, what I really like, there was a great lecture on Paul Halbro, and there's actually a podcast called Shock Talk. If you're interested, it's one from the American Shockwave Society, but he did a nice talk about not using shockwave only for injury recovery, because most of us use it for injury recovery, right? And actually they just went in as well, and they just reconfirmed what I'm doing. So a lot of my athletes, I'm saying, hey, we can do this every 3 days if you want. We can do this every 72 hours versus waiting weekly, because a lot of the athletes want to get better faster. But what he does is he's starting to do it for injury prevention. So kind of like I was thinking of like a marketing, like a post-marathon tune-up. So after you do the marathon, you can do shockwave on the quads and the area in the calf and the different areas where it hurts. You can even do that pre-tune-up. But his research is doing this on healthy patients that are not injured, but it reduces the recovery time. So for example, if you're going to do a marathon or ultra marathon, many times it's very, very difficult to walk after. But if you do this directly after your race, it's going to help increase the soft tissue recovery. This is something that we notice with really bad ankle sprains, and you start shockwave like day one, and it really helps get down, and the return to activity is a lot faster. Based on a lot of the lectures there, they said the return to activity is about 50% faster. So that's how that would be kind of like a sales conversation with patients. A lot of these athletes, they want to get back faster, and they want to have something that is more beneficial to them. So I have something called a Notion, kind of a, I don't know, it's like a virtual notebook of all my notes on Shockwave. If you found this beneficial, if you're interested in learning more about Shockwave, happy to send that to you. Just shoot me an email, Don at podiatrypracticemastery.com. Just put in, hey Don, send me your Shockwave resources, and I'll send you that link. That's where I put all my notes on Shockwave, pricing, different words, different scripts that I use, and things like that. Okay, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.